This video is sponsored by Hunter Engineering. Visit hunter.com for more information.
Hey guys, welcome back to What's Treading. My name is David and I am here with David Henry.
Hey.
David is with Hunter Engineering. We are here in the shop looking at the brand new Road Force WalkAway. David, what do we got here?
Man, the Road Force WalkAway is another game-changing piece of equipment for the undercar industry. Man, it is eliminating a lot of time we need to spend at the balancer, but still giving us all that diagnostic information you're used to with the Road Force balancer.
Okay, can we check it out?
Yeah, let me show you kind of how it works. You know, we still have this legendary wheel lift, but something a little different here is I'm not inflating the tire over on the tire changer. I'm gonna let the balancer do all the inflation for me. So we're gonna clamp that wheel like normal, bring that stem right over here to our workspace, and we're gonna drop this inflation hose over. We have a red button there that tells us we're gonna unlock it, and then it locks. And as soon as we drop that hood, it's gonna start inflating that tire for us.
Okay.
Pretty cool. So it's gonna take a couple pulses, and off of that, it dictates how much time it's gonna take to take this tire to the full inflation. You see 44 seconds.
So I know I've got 44 seconds to go do whatever else I need to do in the shop.
Whatever else you need to do, and maybe that's going to the Maverick Pro and changing a tire or grabbing a tire out of the rack, maybe one off the car, but this is giving you a true time of how much time you're gonna have.
Okay.
We're just gonna start this, get this up on the wheel lift. Man, that thing is so fast, it's about done. You see the wheel, or the chuck released over there, and it's spinning up. Meanwhile, we can get this tire prepped and get it placed. If we look at the balancer, you'll see the time there. We still got, I don't know, a couple seconds left.
Yeah, we're down to 5 seconds.
5 seconds left, and it already told me my weights, so all I need to do is grab those weights, prep those, and man, it servo stops exactly where I need to put the weights. You'll see a dot flashing down here in the bottom.
Yep.
I just center that weight on the dot, and we're gonna drop the hood and check the results. This thing freeing up, you saw it, 46 seconds on this tire. On a bigger tire that has more air pressure needed, it might be a minute and a half that it can work solely by itself, freeing up a ton of time in your shop.
A minute and a half doesn't sound like a lot, right? But when you're talking about all these different vehicles coming in and out of the shop, there's so much to do. A minute and a half is a long time. I mean, we got a tire mounted on the Maverick Pro over here. So, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, when we think about a minute and a half, some people are like, a minute and a half, that's not big, but we talk 4 tires. Well, we multiply that by 4. If we do 10 cars a day, we could save an hour worth of time easily, and maybe get another car or 2 or 3 in.
Man, that is so cool. So those familiar with the Road Force Elite already, give me a little bit of what's different here, what's the same?
Well, I tell you what, we still have the same great technology. We're checking Road Force, or the spring rate of that tire, to make sure we don't have an out-of-round tire that's going to cause a vibration.
And for those unfamiliar, what are you actually testing with the Road Force roller there?
Yeah, the crazy thing is we bring that roller against the tire. Man, I don't know about you, but my car's tires are always on the ground. If they're not on the ground, I usually have a problem.
There's a problem, yep.
So what we do is we bring that roller against the tire, and what we're doing is measuring spring rate of that tire. And off that spring rate, we can dictate if there's a stiff spot in the tire that could cause a vibration on the car. Manufacturers do this at the plant on the tires, but they don't put it on the wheel it's gonna be on. And our wheels usually have a few thousand potholes, 50,000 miles, whatever. We need to look at that.
Sure.
So what we're gonna do is measure the stiffness of the tire, the spring rate of the tire, and off of that, we can dictate how much force it's gonna push against that road, creating a vibration.
Got it.
So that technology, same as Road Force Elite, it's awesome. It's still going to measure the contour of the wheel with our cameras. You saw me not put a single data point in. I didn't measure anything. I just dropped the hood. It took all those measurements. That is Road Force Elite. It works great. The things you saw that changed. There's a few highlights. You know, we have the auto inflation. We move the inflation from the side, the front of to the side, and we did that so we can have an auto release. So it'll release that clamp. So we'll do this real quick for you so you can see it one more time.
Okay.
So we have an illuminated button here. We just push that button and it opens up the chuck.
Yep.
Push that onto the wheel, and as soon as we drop the hood, it's going to set the pressure, and then you'll see it releases and goes home. The cool thing about it, these engineers, they really thought about it. They're like, oh, if we're going to inflate the tire, we got to make sure we can take that hose off before we spin it up, or we might have an accident. So it will automatically release that chuck, and it won't spin until it goes home. If it can't release right off the bat, it does a couple pulses, and it'll move the wheel back and forth to make sure it does release.
Interesting.
That's way cool, and when we do that, that's one less step we have to do here. The old balancer, we would take that chuck off, put it on the tire, let it set pressure. We would have to manually take it off and then drop the hood. Another thing that's kind of overseen, but if we look at the back of this balancer, you see the motorcycle looking hood here on the roller. Our old Road Force Elite had a hood that had to cover that roller, so it stuck back a little further. Attaching the little motorcycle fender or hood over the roller and a separate two-piece hood here allowed us to take up inches of space behind the balancer. So we can put that closer to the wall, a little less room in your shop.
Now let me ask you, when your engineers are thinking about these kinds of enhancements, where are these coming from? Is it coming from technicians coming to you saying, hey man, I really wish that, we love the Road Force Elite, but I wish it did this, I wish it had this? Or is this something that you guys are devising in your own secret lab somewhere?
I tell you what, we take input from our customers every day of ways to be more efficient. Their goal is to get more jobs done with less effort from the technician and less time. But the other thing is Hunter Engineering is about perfecting the process of undercar repair. We're trying to find ways to decrease the time, decrease the effort for all our technicians. And if we can save 20% here, 20% there, and we can make it easier for the technician, it's a win-win for Hunter and their customers.
And so when we're looking at this balancer and the Maverick Pro combined, what kind of time savings are we talking about for your average tire change?
It's pretty awesome that you asked that. I've been doing some time studies, and this is a game changer. I thought I'm a good process guy and I can run pretty quick, so I thought, let's pull a car in, jack it up, take the tires off, and time a traditional balancer and a traditional tire changer. And I found out with this combination, I can save 30–40% on a set of tires, dismounted, mounted, balanced, mounted on the car, torqued and pulled out. Pretty amazing time savings. And it just goes further and further when we get more automation. We think about, it's not just the time savings here, but it's what you can do with that time. If it gives me a minute and a half, that's a minute and a half that I can do something else that I didn't have that free time before. So now we're stacking procedures where we're doing more things at the same time. It's always going to increase productivity.
And I'm glad you just mentioned automation here, because obviously automation is great until it's not. If you automate too much, then you're taking control away from the technician, and things can get hairy there. So how are you deciding this would be a great process to automate, this one we need to keep in control of the actual technician?
The biggest thing is when we look at that, what we're going to automate and what we're not, we're going to look at where we can have the biggest time savings with the least amount of influxation from technician input. So if the technician can hook that on, it's going to save them time, period. And that's a cool thing. We're making one decision and it can save us up to a minute and a half of time. But what we didn't do is automatically have it pick up, put it on the machine, clamp it. That's all stuff that a technician can do pretty quick. And he already knows that process because we've been balancing tires on Hunter balancers for years. But what we could save him, and this is the way Hunter looks at things, they think of how can we save him and not decrease the productivity of it? How can we save him time in a simple manner that will increase productivity?
Very, very cool. Well, I mean, of course, one of these machines on their own is going to save a lot of time, but for these shops who, are busy all day with cars coming in and out of their bays, the time savings together is going to be well appreciated, I know.
Yeah, the combination of the two is game changing, but man, you think about the Road Force WalkAway and just that free time it gives you. If you can't muster both of them at the same time, if you put this in the shop and you use the procedures, I guarantee it's going to save you time. You're going to be more productive. We step it up with a Maverick, you're going to get even more productivity. And that's what I love about this equipment.
That is very, very cool. David, thank you very much for your time here. Appreciate you. David, thank you for bringing in Nate. Nate, you are an engineer with Hunter Engineering, and I understand that you had a lot to do with the Road Force WalkAway here. One of the big things I want to know, how does it actually work, right? How does it figure out how much time saving that technician is going to have?
Yeah, so one of the things we do as part of the engineering team, we did a lot of testing on this. And what we'll do is we'll take an initial pressure when we connect this up, and then we'll take an initial hit that fills some air into the tire. And with the pressure jump, we can figure out the volume that we're filling. And then, so we know what the pressure we started at, we know the volume we have to fill, and we know the flow rate that our balancer can supply.
Okay.
So then we can give an estimate of how long it's going to take to fill the tire, and then we have a set time that we know how long we spin whenever we're spinning the wheel and doing road force. So we add that all onto the timer, and it gives the technician an idea with that timer up on the screen of how much time they have to go do other tasks, whether it's changing another tire, taking wheels back to the car, or whatever.
And of course, it's going to depend on the size of the tire and all sorts of different factors. If you had to give an estimate on an average time savings per tire, what are we talking about?
It really depends. For a small tire, you might see a minute or something like that. I think our target goal for savings when we started the design process was 110 seconds, just for an average. But we're seeing significant savings. So when we use this in coordination, so we do testing here to see how fast we can do a regular wheel balancer and a regular tire changer, like door to door, get the customer in and out. And the tests we've done with that are around 34 minutes for a set of 4 tires. With the Road Force WalkAway, and in combination with the Revolution tire changer, you've got automation on both of these, the optimized time we've got is down to 19 minutes. So that's a 44% savings.
That's killer.
Because the technician's not sitting here staring at something waiting for it to happen. He's able to go and take care of other tasks that he has and let the machines automate what's easy to automate.
Now here's something that I think is really impressive, that you added all these features and yet you reduced the footprint of the machine.
Yeah.
So where does that come from?
And that was one of the other goals that we had is the RFE, it's got the big hood in the back, and that's one of the savings that we see here with this 2-piece hood. Previously, you have a big bubble for that load roller that has to go back up against the wall, and that was our limiting factor. The hood literally would not go all the way up if you push this back against the wall. So that's why we have the 2-piece hood here. So now we've got an extra 4.5 inches of space savings for the shop, so you've got more room to walk. And I don't know if you've been in a lot of shops, little mom and pops ones especially, you're in this cramped little condition, and that extra 4.5 inches is a big deal.
Wow. So if you are, you're looking at your Road Force Elite, it's already got a great reputation in the marketplace. So of course you don't want to tweak it so much that, shops who love it and are used to it aren't going to want this new product, right? So how are you approaching that from an engineering standpoint where, hey, we want to enhance these parts of the machine without taking away what people already love?
Yeah, absolutely. And what we looked at for this process was we're looking at time savings. Well, the RFE already does a great job balancing. So we left most of the tub, except for the things we had to change to add stuff on. Most of the tub and the vibration structure is the same. So it's still the same reliable RFE balancing performance that you're going to get. And we've added the extra features on here to give you space savings. And then when we really looked at what can we automate and what's going to give you the most value and bang for your buck of what system can we add that helps the technician. And what we really saw was with a tire changer, they spend a lot of time inflating, and we were spending an inordinate amount of time on the tire changer and less on the balancer. So we looked to offload our choke point and get it more balanced between the two machines.
Very, very cool.
What made you put a light on the end of that nozzle?
That's something that we wanted for the user experience. A lot of users were kind of missing the inflation arm up here when we initially started testing, and we tried to draw as much attention to it as we can. So it's a nice user-friendly feature. It tells them there's a button there that can actually retract the chuck, so they don't have to mess with that, and then let go, and it just locks right on.
That's awesome, man. I like the light and how it kind of brings your attention to it. That's a cool idea and a good result. You've seen what the customers needed and what might draw attention. Man, there's a couple other things I was thinking about on this machine. We got that light, we have the inflation. That's way cool. What happens if that hose doesn't retract? Are we going to spin it up and that hose is going to be stuck? I've sometimes had chucks kind of stick on the valve stem.
And that was one of the main concerns we had when we started this project, is we needed to have the safety in mind, and the machine safety and the operator safety, because we don't want to be wrapping a hose around there when we're spinning. So we've actually got a sensor back here, and there's a carriage internally, and it lets us know when that hose is retracted. We also look at pressure. So if we haven't ejected properly, it's going to know it's still attached to the tire. So we'll see that pressure here, and we'll see that. So there are 2 safety checks to make sure that we have ejected and retracted successfully, and we're not going to get wrapped around the wheel.
So if I heard you correctly, my understanding is this isn't even going to give you the option to rotate if this is still attached.
That's correct, yeah. So
Yeah, so it measures that pressure and it sees residual. Is it just going to give us a stop sign, or what does it do to try to eject that? Is there any features that you've built into it that really help out that?
Yeah, we built some troubleshooting into it. It'll rock that wheel a little bit in case there's just a valve stem that's just having trouble letting go.
Okay.
And then it will open and close that chuck a couple times before it asks the user for help. So they won't even really see that happening because it's all under the hood, and they're obviously going to be doing something else with their time. So if it does get stuck, it'll pop up and tell the user, hey, just please disengage this, and we need to do a spin. Otherwise, it will disengage on its own.
David, you hear that? It fires it a couple times. It locks, and he even said the tire moved back and forth. That's pretty awesome that you guys thought about that, knowing that it could be a hurdle and finding a solution for it. These guys are always finding solutions. Man, I love them.
Now, Nate, is that coming out of your own brain? Is that coming from a technician coming to you and saying, hey, this has been an issue in the past?
So that's coming out of the engineering team's thoroughness. We'll run this through QA, and if they have any issues, they'll bring up those problems to us, and then we'll brainstorm as a team and come up with solutions to fix that.
Fantastic, fantastic. Nate, thank you so much. This has been great.
Yeah, it was great talking to you.
David, how do each of these machines integrate with HunterNet?
Wow, you hit a hot point there, HunterNet. HunterNet is something we provide for all our customers. It helps track the use of their equipment. Both of these are capable of reporting to HunterNet. We can get usage on the Maverick and get all the important stuff, you know, how many cycles it has, the life expectancy, maybe do some preventative maintenance when we know it hits a certain time. It's pretty cool. And then the Road Force WalkAway, it gives us a lot of neat features. You know, we put a Road Force roller on a machine. We want to have our guys use that to make sure when the car leaves, we have the best ride for our customers.
Yep.
We're going to track how many times they use that, how many times they check the air. We're going to publish the air pressure they set it to. It's pretty cool, pretty powerful.
Do you have any shops who are trying to, you know, they're competing against another shop, trying to hit certain numbers and make sure that they're beating out their competitors?
Well, yeah, it's usually inter-store. You know, we have multiple stores that have this equipment, and they're seeing each other's numbers because they have a mothership looking at all those numbers.
That's cool.
And it's cool competition. It's no different than other equipment that report, you know, hey, David, I saw your shop did 19 alignments today. I'm going to do 20 because I'm a little better. I saw that you guys only dropped that roller 40% of the time. I'm going to do 100% of the time because I can't afford to do the job twice.
That's very cool.
know, it does give us some good information. You know, our customers can use that to motivate their team. You know, hey, it looks like Joe was the lead of that day and they used the roller every time. And when Wade was the leader, he didn't use it quite as much. Maybe it's a training opportunity and we can show them the benefits of using these tools to make sure we get the job done.
Yeah, there's so many ways to use that kind of data. Very cool.
It's really cool, man. HunterNet and what we can provide for those customers, it's awesome data. And if you're data driven, it is the information you want.
Very cool. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, David.